I'm Megan Skidmore. For 2.5 years, I have been talking about evolving faith journeys. I started to tire of the heaviness of this focus. I had the clear message come through. It is time for Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast to evolve into Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. With the same vulnerability and unapologetic authenticity, I will be focusing on the joy in this journey, the life and the living that comes on the other side of maybe, on the other side of what's possible. I want to talk about claiming spiritual sovereignty and becoming your own captain of your vessel. Let's celebrate releasing what no longer aligns for you and connecting with your higher power and honor expanding your energy field to make room for all things new. The vibration is high this month on Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast. Pretense is dropped and caution thrown to the wind in each interview. I am dropping a new episode daily, spotlighting one of the amazing, soul-led, heart-centered authors of Joan of Arc Publishing, or JOA Publishing, founded by Kira Brinton. Like the namesake for this publishing house, each one embodies the fearless, God-centered spirit left by the legacy of Joan of Arc. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt. I have my dear friend Melissa with me. Thank you so much, Melissa, for taking time and coming and joining me.
I am so honored. Ever since, we have been on our Zoom meetings and as a fellow author, and to finally meet you in person a few weeks ago, I really connected to you, and I can't wait for your book to come out. So the honor is mine.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same about you. It was an incredible room of folks. I so appreciated being there, and I loved meeting you in person too. So let's just dive right in. I would love to share with my listeners all about you. If you'll start off just telling us about your background, kind of your origin story.
Yes, so I'm originally from Quebec City, Canada. My first language is French, and I grew up where and then we moved. We moved when we were about 6 years old. My mom decided, single mom with myself, moved to Vancouver, British Columbia, where I grew up. And my mom worked so hard for me, and she really always was a big believer in her faith in God. And she put me in a Catholic private school. I remember when we moved in Vancouver. So I grew up, always having faith. We were not going to, church every Sunday or whatnot, but that's definitely, God was a big, what she would teach me, and having that spirituality. She's definitely more on this very spiritual side. And so I grew up in Vancouver, where I learned English, and I went to dental hygiene school. Actually, before dental hygiene school, I actually wanted to be a naturopath or a physical therapist, because that's what I studied. And I kind of pivoted a little bit in my studies because I got offered a job as a flight attendant on a private jet when I was 23.
Oh
And
my gosh.
yes,
How fun was that?
that was so much fun. I still remember because I paid all my tuition. I had taken out loans. I was in the midst of like half a semester with chemistry, kinesiology, all the things. And I remember meeting this now my very good friend, and she's like, "Do you want to start in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do?" And I
Oh,
withdrew from
wow.
all my classes because I knew this opportunity would not be there all the time. So I flew around the world, literally, and for a couple years with the former president and a lot of artists and celebrities. And I was kind of pinching myself for that opportunity because it was such a fun job. And I ended up working with a very good, my best friend. I call her my soul sister. She's in Sweden
Mhm.
right now. And yeah, so and then I met my husband, who was a dentist from Michigan originally and was living in Alaska. And I
Mhm.
started commuting back and forth from Vancouver. And he's the one who's like, "Oh, naturopath," and where he lives in Wasilla, Alaska. He's like, "There's not a lot of people that Can I go,
Mhm.
believe in that and whatnot? He's like, well, why don't you do dental hygiene school and then you can work at the practice and whatnot? And I was like, well, okay. So I enrolled in
Yeah.
dental hygiene school and graduated in 2009 and I've been doing that career for 15 years now.
And I think you have two children?
I have two children. Yes, I have
Yes.
a 9-year-old boy and an 11-year-old girl.
Okay.
I now moved to Arizona in Gilbert for
Okay.
2 years now, but I lived in Wasilla, Alaska for 16 years,
Oh
and
my goodness.
that was quite the experience. I got to say, it was beautiful and it was vast, and I love raising my kids there as far as
Hmm.
the great outdoors, but the darkness, that was hard.
Oh,
The long
yeah.
winters and too much daylight. I felt that really, I had
Mhm.
insomnia the first summer, and that darkness, especially in the office, I would notice people that couldn't get away and get sunshine, it would definitely affect them. But I've made some of the best friends, living out there and
Mhm.
still visit. And my husband, we worked together alongside for many years. He owned a dental practice called Aesthetic Family Dentistry in Wasilla, and it was a fantastic career. He really enjoyed it, but there was even early on in our relationship, I was 26 at the time, and I'm now 44, and when I met him, there was back pain that came about with dentistry and the introduction of opioids. And so, with his chronic back pain and having the pressures of keeping the office open, there was no way where he felt could take time off or take care of
Mhm.
himself. So, that kind of spiraled into an opioid addiction
Mhm.
and alcohol, and it ultimately he ended his life in March of 2022. He died by suicide, and I knew then that I had to use my voice. There was
Mhm.
no more hiding because we hid a lot behind our smiles, and that's why I wrote my book called The Truth Behind the Smiles, because I knew that wasn't of a service for us, even for generations, on my side of the family. I mean, I think there's no wrong. I think back then it was much harder, or a much easier time to speak about mental health and a lot of different topics. But I could tell that many people would ask me, what do you want us to say? How did he pass? And I said, well, died by suicide. And I even put it in the obituary, died by suicide, and I put the national hotline number on there. And just because I felt, okay, I had to use my voice and
Yeah.
no more hiding behind that smile.
I commend you and I honor you for that. That
Thank you.
could not have been easy. And
No, no, it was not, but it was in some sense, it was this God was giving me that strength to be,
Mhm.
I could tell for some reason that word, so many people have a hard time saying it,
Mhm.
suicide,
Mhm.
because it's a darkness and the stigmas behind it, but it actually came easy for me. It was hard to talk about what had happened, and that would move me through that day again. But it got better as I did a lot of therapy and
Mhm.
different somatics and healing. But I knew I couldn't hide anymore, and I dove into. I got really curious as to because I was curious, why didn't I fall as well alongside? Because I could have easily. We were very isolated.
Mhm.
We were on 50 acres in a Wasilla. There's just no neighbors around, all that darkness. I could have easily fallen. So, and I was kind of looking our patterns over time. And so
Mhm.
I started reading so many books of people who have prevailed through darkness or podcasts. I just listened to so many things and I started seeking, okay, what are they doing that got them out? Because I knew I had to be there for my kids. They weren't going to lose one more parent
Mhm.
because I saw the immense pain that they were in.
Right.
And, as parents, we do so much to help to try and protect our kids. But when we we can't protect them from the entire world, but what I could,
Right.
so I had to take care of myself first. And that was the best advice that I ever got, was to seek help first, because my kids
Hmm.
will look at me. And I never stop, and I never will.
Yeah.
Now I'm surrounded by such a wonderful group of healers and counselors and therapists, and we're it's going to be a lifetime of healing and different modalities to help heal,
Yeah.
for my son. And because there's so much guilt and shame that comes from suicide, and a lot of times survivors kind of replay the what ifs,
Yeah.
what we could have done.
Hmm.
But I knew I couldn't live, in that past. I had to be in the now. What do I do now for my
Hmm.
family? And a
How
lot
are
of it,
you able to
yeah.
do that? Like, if
Oh,
someone who is listening maybe has an experience similar to yours, how are you able to do that? Live in the now versus.
oh, it was a lot of mind training. I was already, for me, I was already, a believer of God and in
Hmm.
faith, and I was doing a lot of, I love Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer is one of my top,
Hmm.
inspiring authors, and changing your thoughts. So I actually, in my kitchen in Wasilla, I had a little quote where I do, be cooking, and it says, change your thoughts, change your mind, and, or change your life, something like
Hmm.
that. But it
Yeah.
was just, I had to just constantly work at, okay, I gotta let it go. I gotta
Hmm.
focus on that. I'd write myself a list, because it was so overwhelming, days leading after his death, for months. So I'd write a list of priorities. And of course, the minute my kids would be home, I'd just be on. I'd be with them, because
Hmm.
actually a friend of mine had created this beautiful calming corner in my room with essential oils, breathwork cards, feeling cards that the kids can kind of look at. There'd be a picture of a feeling, and then
Hmm.
they'd put it on a poster, and then we could talk about it. And then
Hmm.
there were tools. They were like, okay, you feel sad or you feel mad. Here are 10 tools. And a lot of it was breath work, or there was draw, there was maybe
Hmm.
journal, or, move your body. And so we'd go through that almost every night. I'd do
Yeah.
it one-on-one with each child. And it was kind of our safe place to go to.
What a great idea.
Yeah, and
Great
it
idea.
was a great idea. And actually, in
Yeah.
fact, now I'm in Arizona, and I've recreated it in a bigger
Mhm.
scale in my room, where now I have sound bowls, drums, I have yoga cards, I have all the things there, where I go there every morning and pray.
That's
That's the
fabulous.
first thing that I do. And I think to asking for help, I had to get really used to that. I was super hyper independent, because
Hmm.
my husband was at a point where he could not take care of the kids and barely of himself. So I had become very independent in
Hmm.
doing everything. So I had to be comfortable to ask for help.
Yeah.
And then I had to take some time to just sometimes listen. I would listen to a podcast that had breath work. I'd even do it sometimes driving to an appointment or something that I had to get
Hmm.
done. And I started the meditations, the tiny shifts in the morning of my thoughts. I would do that daily,
Hmm.
because I could tell that I needed it, because I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, for sure, I was definitely shock in the fight and flight. I feel like that lasted almost 7 months, and then finally, once I moved here and the kids got in school, I kind of decompressed. And I remember being
Hmm. Yeah.
so tired for that time.
So, one thing I'm really curious to hear from you, you mentioned that you did grow up with some faith background. Your mother had put you in a private Catholic school.
Mhm.
You also mentioned she was maybe a little more spiritual than you, but you had a foundation. I'm curious to know, like, what was your relationship with God through all of this? And, you know,
I love that question because
How
it
did
changed
you how
so
did you
much
move
over the
that? Yeah.
years. Yes,
How did you move
I
through that?
love this question because I feel like as a young girl, my mom was very spiritual and she was very open and talked about God. And then once I went to Catholic school, I really enjoyed it. I remember elementary school, I really liked it. I thought it was fantastic. But once I hit, I think, high school, about 16-ish,
Mm-hmm.
there's things that started not making sense to me,
Mm-hmm.
and what the teachings, and I started kind of moving myself away from the Catholic religion and possibly God and praying and instilling all of that. I always was very intuitive, very much guided that way, but I almost fell out of that routine because I felt there was a lot of fear based
Mm-hmm.
and things that just didn't seem right. I just didn't feel right. So I was like, no, I don't believe this. I don't believe that. And so I kind of moved away from it. And actually, when I met my husband, I was not really in the faith of any kind, and neither
Mm-hmm.
was he. He was not, he never talked about God, never talked about faith or anything like that. And so it wasn't until I we had children and I was like, oh, I kind of would like that foundation back. And of course, my mom was still always like, wanted the kids to be baptized or things like that, but we never did
Right.
it. And she always talked, but she's very spirit. I mean, she has visions and all the things. Like she's very
Mm.
more, I don't know, we call ourselves like mystical Christians,
Okay.
you
I like
know?
that. That's very descriptive. I like that.
Yeah, and so I've started bringing the kids to church, a non-denominational
Mm-hmm.
church in Wasilla, which I loved. And a lot of our staff and friends went to church as well, Christian church, and I really liked the how different that was compared to when I was growing
Mm.
up.
More community, maybe.
More community, yes, community based, and the music and the singing, the bands.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really, I remember the pastor up there really related to real life, and I like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I would continue, but my husband would never come. He
Mm-hmm.
was never open to it. He liked that I was teaching the kids that, but he was not open to that, to coming along with us. And I would, when everything was going on with him, I'd often pray to different angels like Archangel Michael and for protection and Archangel Gabriel. And so I I know there's a God.
As part of my commitment to giving back, every first Friday of the month, I offer a free coaching hour. Anyone is welcome to join, and you may leave your camera off and change your name if you would like to remain anonymous. This is an opportunity to get introduced to my style of holistic coaching and what it would be like to work with me, gain real skills, insight relevant to you, and fresh perspective on life circumstances. Each month is a different topic. For those attending, there will be opportunities for a complimentary one-off energy alignment session. Once registered, you will have access to discount codes for my other offerings. To get the link, including all the resources, register to complete the agreement at the link in the show notes.
Like for me, I
Yeah.
call God. I'm very comfortable with saying that,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't always comfortable just talking so openly about it because I had so
Mm-hmm.
many friends back home that are not of faith and whatnot, and so it was kind of a little bit uncomfortable. Kept it to myself, but until my husband passed, there was too many things that happened that was like, whoa, God was there all along. So my faith
Mm-hmm.
really grew, really, really grew. For example, just the moment we were in Maui when my husband died by suicide, and I remember being on the beach with my two kids, and I had this wave that passed right over me. I feel like I could still feel it. And I felt a nudge to grab my phone and text my husband to say that I loved him and thank you for the beautiful day yesterday because we had gone snorkeling in
Mm-hmm.
Lanai. And there was so much hope in that. I saw a light in him.
Mm-hmm.
And in the next text that he sent me, he says, don't come up, send security. Well, that right there it was God nudging me to get there early. Because what
Mm-hmm.
if we never text? God was
Mm-hmm.
there all along, and I walked up there with the kids and we had so much going on. I mean, I thought I had saved him, and he was a few days at the hospital, and I remember praying with him with a chaplain at the hospital, and they're like, "Oh, he's doesn't hear anything. He's brain dead." And but
Mm-hmm.
I know your soul's there. I know
Mm-hmm.
that. So I
Mm-hmm.
would talk to him. I would forgave him. I played his favorite music because I know
Yeah.
his soul was there. And even when I we prayed for him, there was a tear that came down.
Oh.
And I know then he could probably see Jesus and then all the, his angels, like he could see it now,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
That's a
so,
beautiful story.
yeah, thank you. And it just grew and grew. There were so many signs that, and I got into reading a lot of books about near-death experiences as
Mm-hmm.
well, because it was so clear to me that Scott came one night to give Sophia and Mateas a big hug. Like I saw it with my own eyes. So I wanted to know more.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to know more, and I would see a lot of common things that I've experienced
Yeah.
now, and my faith just really grew.
So, in your faith journey, as you have given your,
No, yes, and surrendering. Yeah, surrendering, completely
Mhm.
surrender. I move along in life now. I ask and I receive and I go. You know, that's why
that's
I've
that's amazing. So, as you have your faith has expanded and your understanding has grown, like what have been, I love to focus on the living that
Mm.
comes on the other side of some of these struggles that come with the faith journey. Like what have
Oh,
been moments
yes.
of joy and just happiness and bliss for you after
Oh,
stepping into the unknown?
yes. Stepping into the unknown, the more that I am guided by that intuition and God, and more there's joy and happiness, and it just I get in awe of how we are never alone. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the most beautiful thing, that we're never alone. And also, I think for people, that are grieving, to know that their loved ones are always around. I know for my kids, that's a big thing,
For sure.
and I think it's brought a lot of joy because I know I'm not alone and I know I'm constantly guided. I just have to ask. I have to be
Yeah.
clear. And it's exciting for me. It's truly exciting. And that's,
There's so
yeah,
much available if we just ask. I'm really learning that
yeah.
for
Except
myself.
now, every time something, let's say something bad kind of happens, I'm like, ooh, okay, what was the lesson there, God? Like what patterns am I did I not like heal, and what am I not doing? So I
That's funny.
overanalyze sometimes. And I just have to remember, like, okay, I'll know a bit later, but it just gives me a different outlook on, if I get sick, I'd be like, oh, well, what was I suppressing, or what was you know,
Mhm.
um, not allowing
Right,
myself to see. And so
right,
I'm a little bit more aware.
for sure. So I am so grateful to have you come on and share about your story and so honored that you chose to put this in the form of a book and have it published. Um, it was just recently, correct?
Yes, yes, it was published. I went live in June 22nd
Okay.
of 2024. And actually, right now, it's pretty cool because I'm French. My whole family's in Quebec, and my mom and I are the only ones who ever moved from Quebec. It's now been translated in French.
Oh,
And my grandfather, who's 96, is editing it, as well as an aunt of mine. My uncle's wife, she's also going to be the other editor.
awesome. I didn't know it was getting translated into French. That's really cool.
Yes, yeah, and hopefully Spanish too. But yeah, it's been an incredible experience. It was last January, 2024, that I went on the writing adventure with Kira Brinton, and that just changed my life. Just stepping into The minute I signed that contract to
Hmm.
write a book, so much was downloads were coming. I saw the
Hmm.
cover of my book, like that picture, the family picture that I have. I saw that. I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to like find it, and a lot was coming through. And so much came through when we were there in those 5 days as well. And actually, it was interesting leading up to me going to Mill Valley, California, to write my book. Another topic came about. I thought I'd only do, our story, suppression, the dark side of dentistry, but I actually started writing a lot about divisiveness
Hmm.
actually in
Wow.
and because I've traveled all over the world and I find culture so interesting. I always love learning about the culture I was in,
Hmm.
from being in Cambodia, Papua New Guinea, all these places. And I always thought, well, I loved all the religions and what they were doing. And so I wrote a whole chapter about divisiveness and how we should
Wow.
build a bridge alongside and not be so judgmental, you know?
That's fantastic. I love that. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, the last question I have that I like to ask all of my guests is kind of the title of my podcast, and that is, what does it mean to you to live beyond the shadow of doubt?
Oh, wow. So much peace and freedom and excitement. I just love it. Right now, I get this burst of energy and pure joy when I'm constantly reminded that following my tuition is bring me to my divine, what Kira calls it, divine genius, the divine
Mm.
path that I'm supposed to be here for. And
Wow.
sometimes I'm really surprised. I'm like, oh, me? I'm like, oh, okay. Like I should be doing this. But yeah, it's been a calling to use my voice and to step on stages and share our stories. And now we're going on TV, and so I think it just means that it opens up the gate
That
to a
is
whole
true.
new life that I could have not imagined. If you would talk to me, let's say January of 2022, that I was going to write a book, I was going
Hmm.
to be on TV, and
Hmm.
uh, you know, eh, happy living in a sunny place with palm trees. I've been like, you're crazy. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, oh, right. Don't know what you've been doing.
You're right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes, you have a beautiful mission and you are stepping up in every possible way. We'll make sure to leave a link or links in the show notes so that folks can find your book and find the appearances you've made on
Thank you.
TV. So just to finish, I throw out some for fun questions, just looking for one or two word answers so we can get to know
Okay.
you a little bit.
I
Tell
love
us your
that.
favorite book.
Ooh, that is Wayne Dyer inspiring.
Okay.
That's always my go-to. I always kind of like, oh, but I have so many, but that one always comes up.
Hits it. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Introvert, you know?
Really? I'm
Yeah, a lot
kind
of
of
people would
surprised to
think,
hear you say
I know,
that.
people are very surprised. Like I could be
That's funny.
on, like when we were at the conference for the 4 days, oh my gosh, when I get home, I couldn't talk to anybody. I was my really shy.
Yeah, had to decompress. Yeah, I feel
Yes.
that. Tell us your favorite artist.
Oh, that is the artist that I put in my book. Oh, what's his name again? Young Sum Kim.
Okay.
I saw
Mm.
a vision uh, uh, of myself dancing one time, a pure joy. And then I realized I was dancing with God along this journey, and he painted exactly what I saw.
Wow,
So
that's way cool.
I
How
know after I
cool.
had that vision, he somehow magically appears on
That is
my
way cool.
feed. Yeah. Gotta look him up. He's from Korea.
I love that. Are you a night owl or a morning lark?
Morning. Morning for sure. I'm a 5 a.m. club and then a 9 p.m. go to bed.
And tell us your favorite, I mean, your celebrity crush.
Ooh, Chris Hemsworth. Yeah.
Chris. Oh, no
Oh yeah.
hesitation there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
no.
Do you do still or carbonated water or diet soda or some other fun
Oh,
beverage?
still water.
Still water. And
Yes.
then finally, the furthest place that you've traveled.
Oh gosh, that's hard. I've traveled all over. I would say Papua New Guinea, Australia,
Oh,
Hong
goodness. Wow.
Kong,
Way in the south.
Seoul.
How
Yeah.
fun. I
Hmm.
love to travel. You've been everywhere. Well,
Yes, I
Melissa,
did
it
too.
has been such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Do you have a website we can send folks to?
Yes, it's melissagratitude.life is my website. And then for
Great.
Instagram, it's at Melissa_gratitude.
Okay.
And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Sweet. We'll leave that in the show notes. Thank
And
you
of
so
course,
much
my
for your
book is
time.
on Amazon and Audible as
Yes.
well. I recorded it on with my own
Yes, you
voice.
did. And we'll leave a link. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
So
you.
much love.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Writer, teacher, author, Mormon scholar, and founder of Dialogue Journal, Eugene England said, "My faith encourages my curiosity and awe. It thrusts me out into relationship with all creation and encourages me to enter into dialogue." As a proud member of the Dialogue Podcast Network, my hope is that Living Beyond the Shadow of Doubt podcast is an extension of that vision. Visit meganskidmorecoaching.com to find this podcast and additional free resources, including the link for a complimentary coaching session. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram for more, or to send me a DM. Help the podcast grow. Please follow, review, and share with a friend.